What's good, y'all? It's your boy Kenny Buttons and Miss Madli coming to you live from the A-Room. Let's go!
The price is wrong, bitch.
All I hear is gift, we need that beat, my nigga. We need the verse. We need some heat, my nigga, like it's the first. They know I got it, nigga had it since birth. If we ain't talking about the bag, we ain't talking about the work. No more freebies, no more IOUs. I go Stevie, wonder how these niggas really see me. Cause what I...
Yeah. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kenny Buttons. What's going on, Miss Madli?
Hey, happy hump day.
Happy hump day. It's the best part of the week. Week is almost over. Weekend is here. Y'all, thank you for joining us on this journey. This podcast, the A-Room Podcast, is a podcast from producers to producers, exchanging information on the daily grind. We're going to be touching on a lot of things. Everything that you hear comes from our personal journey, our grind, conversations that we've had with some influential people in the business, and then, of course, research that we've done over time. But, you know, this is an interactive show, so we always want to hear from you. It's not about us. It's about exchanging the information. So please, if you have any feedback, any comments, always feel free to drop us a line at the A-Room Podcast on all social media. Again, at the A-Room Podcast on all social media. You can just drop us an email and tell us how much we suck. The A-Room Podcast at gmail.com. The A-Room Podcast at gmail.com. So let's get right into it. Madli and I have broken down the show into a three-course meal. If you guys know us, you guys know that our catchphrase in the business is eat. So when you start a meal, you're either starting with the appetizer or, which I like to do sometimes, soup of the day. Soup of the day.
Yeah, so soup of the day is it's just current events, something that we've talked about. It could be music related or something extremely stupid, like Kenny's dating life.
Bullshit. No, we're mentioning my dating life. Well, listen, we're gonna move from the soup of the day. The better part of the meal, which I like, is the hearty part of the meal, the main course, and of course, you know, for me, it's a bone and ribeye medium, and Madli, she loves that potato with sour cream.
Shut up. Meat is murder, Kenny. So the main course is something that we have prepared for you guys. It's the main subject of the day, and we've done some research on it. We've talked to some people about it, and it takes the most of our show.
Yes. So you can't have a main course, that hearty steak, without having a delicious side dish. And our side dish is always going to be a featured artist or producer, right?
Yeah. So it's somebody who's done exceptional work, who has put out a great single or a great instrumental, and we would just want to feature that.
And every now and then, you want to finish the meal with some delicious dessert.
If you can afford it.
Right, because us producers are broke as hell. Enough about what we can or can't afford. Truth is we're broke as hell. I mean, that's just what it is. But Madli and I have spent many nights. Wait, why are you laughing?
To finish the sentence.
We spent many nights on the phone just discussing our different situations in this music business.
You know, Kenny and I, we've known each other for 3 years. We exchanged our stories. We became really good friends. He became one of the people that I always wanted to share with and discuss with, because in a way we're in the same headspace and in the same environment. And we realized that we're totally different personality-wise. Even though we might share the same values, our personalities are totally on the different side of the spectrum.
Truth.
So Kenny is from the Bronx, straight shooter, has no problem telling what it is, no filter, and
I have a filter. I just, I like to stand up for what I believe in.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons why I really like you as a friend, because I'm all for it. However, I was brought up differently. I have always been super mindful of what people think, what they say, if I'm hurting anybody's feelings, and that's not, I know, but that's the way I am. Shut up. Yeah, but anyways, this is something that I struggle with. So, and through these conversations, we kind of realized that we're touching so many different subjects and would love to have almost like a third party to chime in and see what they think. So that's why we brought these conversations out to the public.
I mean, listen, truth is we need a mediator. So if you know anybody out there that's a professional mediator, please tell them to get at us at the A-Room Podcast.
Right.
Yes, y'all. So the soup of the day was this amazing event that we were privileged to attend. True Masters. What an amazing event, Madli. What an amazing event.
Yes, and our friend Nuk Beatz actually won the very first True Masters.
Shout out Nuk Beatz. Yay! Shout out Nuk. Hip hip! Hip hip! Listen, we have to tell Nuk no more Nuk Beatz. Prime example.
I was just gonna say just Nuk Beatz and no prime example. It's either or. But anyways, shout out to Atlas for having us. It was such a great event, and the whole thing is so fresh. The concept of the show is so fresh. So you would have 8 producers, 8 MCs, 8 dancers, and they all team up. And you would have a producer play their track for 4 minutes. At one point, the dancer will come on, and at one point, the MC will come on. So you would see the whole track being created in front of you, which was super dope, and nobody's doing that,
No. The event was tight. Everything was run so professionally.
Yes, absolutely.
So a huge shout out to Atlas the Plug and some amazing contestants like Frisk Trackz, Wxlfman. Huge shout out to our family and our friend Nuk Beatz for being a True Master champ. If you're looking for some new material, please holler at Nuk at Nuk_Beatz with a Z. Well, you know what happens after you have that soup of the day? Comes that delicious main course. You ready for that main course? Let's go.
Ma, the meatloaf! Fuck!
That soundbite gets me every single time I hear it. Well, listen, y'all, this subject is no stranger to the music community. A sore one for many, the difference between a producer and a beat maker.
We have to put a barrier between us and the snakes.
So yeah, this is a subject that gets discussed in so many panels, so many forums, and to me, it's very interesting that the word producer can describe so many different things.
So for the sake of clarity, let's start off with the definition of what a producer is. How's that sound, Madli? Mm-hmm. So a producer has many roles that may include, but are not limited to, gathering ideas for the project, composing the music for the project, selecting songs or session musicians, proposing changes to the song arrangements, coaching the artists and musicians in the studio, controlling the recording session, and supervising it from beginning to the end.
So now it's interesting that the word producer should, in a way, involve all these things, but today the title is being used liberally, I should say, and I don't necessarily think that somebody who makes the music is more of a composer but uses the word producer is doing something wrong. It's just the blurriness of the situation, because times have changed, things have changed, and you can do all these tasks, at home without necessarily being in the same physical space with the artist. However, it is still kind of necessary to have some sort of distinction between the beat maker and a producer, because it's funny when you talk to somebody and then they're like, hey, what did you do on a track? You say you produced it. It's never, oh, okay, cool, because people want to know what was your real involvement in the track.
Right. What would you contribute?
Yeah. For example, on the songwriter side, it's easier to see who did what. You know, if you're a lyricist, if we only took your poem for this particular song, we know that lyricist means you wrote the lyrics. If you're a songwriter, then you might have written the lyrics and the melody as well. But it's easier to identify what your contribution was to the track. However, when we go to the production side, it could be a person who made a 4-bar loop, added some drums, and looped it to infinity. And it could be a person who took the track from conception to the very end. We're talking about composition, but also talking to the artist, finding the right musicians, finding the right engineer, putting it all together, kind of being the glue in the whole process all the way to the very end, to the label, you know?
Yeah, but let's agree. The way in which music is created today is completely different than it was done, say, 20 years ago. I mean, for crying out loud, people are producing records on their iPhones today. Mm-hmm. Technology is so advanced, plugins are so amazing that we don't need to be in a big studio anymore. It's less expensive to do it at home. So, you know, the producer's role has really changed today, or we should say the definition of what the producer is today is completely changed because of the way music is being created.
So in other words, you making a track at home, you're already doing all these parts, aka paying the musicians. If the plugin is good, you are doing it yourself. Right. Writing the melody, you are already doing it while making the beat, so to speak, or making the track. It doesn't have to be hip hop. It doesn't have to be beat per se.
Right.
So yes, I totally agree with that. Like the definition has changed, and even engineering wise, if you have enough skills to take it to a certain level, you are producing even within making a track. Like for example, if you want to put an effect on a track, long delay. Back in the day, you had to talk to your engineer about that.
Right.
Or do some crazy stuff. Somebody had to go and cut the tape. Today, you don't have to do it. You're in your DAW. You can do these tasks yourself and then kind of embed that into your track.
True. Very, very true. I mean, the tasks have changed, but the end goal is still the same.
Yeah, to make a hot track.
Facts.
But then still, we come to the point where we need some sort of clarification, because when I was in IAR, Institute of Audio Research, we have somebody who's 22, 3 years old, talking about they're an artist, a songwriter, producer, beat maker, engineer, mastering engineer. And I used to think that I was like engineer when I graduated, and now 10 years later, I'm like, I wouldn't even dare to say, and I'm an engineer, you know?
Right.
Because I know how much work goes into this stuff, you know? I would never label myself with something like that, you know? I'm okay.
Right.
So in that sense, it is kind of important to clarify this. And I'm not sure if we almost need like new vocabulary for this.
I would agree. I think we need a new definition, especially because we're in a new day. It's a new time, and again, the way people create completely different. The tasks can be completed by one individual,
right.
You know, and they can do it at home. So because they haven't been in a room with all of the necessary professionals to see a record or an album to its completion, doesn't mean it's still not happening.
The whole process has changed. It's not that you are called into the label and then you get to play your track in front of the artist and then they pick and then you work together. It's literally MP3s. Like a lot of times the artists won't even know who sent it.
Right.
They just either like it or not, they do something to it and they put it out, you know? And it's not rare when it's done to an MP3 and you can hear it on the radio just mixed on an MP3 on a 2-track.
Right.
But still, if I had to make a distinction today, I would say a producer is somebody who takes the track from the beginning to the end, who is part of the creative process after the track is completed, the instrumental has been completed, and talk to the artist, whether it's in the physical space, the same studio, or over email, over phone, I don't care. But I feel like if that synergy is not happening between you and the artist, that you're not really producing, or engineer for that matter, you know.
But what do you say about the producer who's just putting together an instrumental album? He's still producing his album. He still wrote it, produced it, composed it. He still put it together. It's the same thing.
It is and it's not. You know, when we talk about a full track, and that's why it gets tricky. It really gets tricky. Like, because it's almost like you're putting some sort of like judgmental, you know, stamp on a beat maker, you know, or a composer for that matter. Again, it doesn't have to be just hip hop. If you make the instrumental, but you made it and catered to an artist without knowing who the actual artist is going to be, you still did produce in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't just a beat loop or an instrumental, just a hot instrumental. You know what I mean? So it's difficult, but still, to me, if I can give you a track that's not necessarily yours, but ask you to do something to it, change it, make it better, give me advice or whatever, and you can do that, you're a producer without touching the beat part or anything like that. You know what I mean? So you can be a producer without making a beat, and you can also be a beat maker without being a producer. There is a difference, but it's just very, very blurry and very, very subtle.
And then to add more to the murky water, I mean, people say like, if you know you can only produce a trap beat, but you can't go from genre to genre, you know, and produce a pop record, a rock record,
right,
a classical piece, then you're not really a producer. And that, to me, listen, if you can only produce trap records, but you're producing them, you're still a producer.
And if they're really, really good, I think so maybe the difference comes at how good you are at what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a good producer, you know, somebody who does take the record all the way from here to the moon, and somebody who takes this record all the way to our podcast is still a producer.
right.
You know?
Right. I mean, it's safe to say that you're going to have the purists that feel that in order to produce a record, you need to involve all aspects of the process. And that means live instrumentation, being in the studio with the engineer, you know, coaching the artist, coaching the musicians. But those things still happen without having to be or have that, as you call, synergy in the room. I mean, this shit's been happening since the Roland TR-808 and the Alesis SR-16. I mean, dudes have been producing records like this,
right?
Not necessarily in a big studio with the live musicians and the fireworks,
right.
And still, the end goal
is a good record,
right?
I mean, the physical space to me, yes, it's maybe not that big of a factor, but it's more so just knowing that if Ken Lewis says, I'm a mix engineer, and somebody asks me, oh, Madli, are you a mixing engineer? I can't say that I am, you know?
I can't say that I am either,
right.
Madli. I can't say that. But today's world, someone can't afford an engineer that...
Yeah, and the other thing, we could get shit done. That's the thing. Right. So it's very...
I become a YouTube baby. I mean, for me, I do everything from soup to nuts, beginning to end. And then because I can't afford $1,000 a mix or even $500 a mix per record, it has forced me to go online, become a YouTube baby, and learn how to at least get the records so that they are presentable.
Right.
I'm not a mix engineer by any sense of the word or definition, but I can get my records where they sound amazing and they're presentable to the label or the artist.
Right. It's like to call it like a demo.
Right.
Yeah, right. And
Right.
then if they want to take it, they would take it and re-record it or whatever.
But the reality is today
They don't.
they don't, and they're releasing it that way.
Right.
Because you have direct access to the consumer, they're like, I'm not going to spend, a $500 to $5,000 on a mix engineer who, granted, has done some amazing work. I can't afford that. So I can put that extra bread that I would spend on mixing a record to marketing or promoting my piece or my record.
So I guess to sum it up, there is no clear distinction between the beat maker and a producer today because the times have changed. And I also don't feel like there should be a judgment passed on either one of those titles because it's just part of how things have changed,
Facts. I mean, bless you if, you're a part of a project that has the budget for you to be able to hire the necessary musicians and be with that, grade A engineer and really produce a record like it used to be.
Right.
But the reality is, in today's market, today's game, it's less expensive to be able to do a record in your home studio without having to spend the extra dollars and still have the same result that you would if you, say, did it the old school way.
Right. I mean, there's place for both of these. I think there's
Agreed.
There's a place for a beat maker, there's a place for a producer, and there's a place for this new hybrid of the two. I think that's where it's going, So.
And that's a beautiful thing.
You said that with fucking R. Kelly voice.
It should sound like an R&B record. No, that's a beautiful thing. Things are always going to change, and we need to be open-minded to that change.
Right, because it's going to be hard to describe the new and evolved situation with the data terms.
So let's keep labels out of it. Moving on. Side dish of the day.
What the fuck did you put in that sauce?
Side dish of the day is going to be our featured artist, our homie, our family member, Nuk Beatz, the true master, baby.
Yes.
So we're going to go to one of his records. Again, if you need to reach out to Nuk, at Nuk_Beatz with the Z. Eat. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Again, shout out to the homie Nuk Beatz. That concludes our show for today. Again, we thank everyone who tuned in today. Please, if you have any feedback, any comments, don't forget to reach out to us at the A-Room Podcast on all social media. Again, at the A-Room Podcast on all social media. Or please drop us an email, the A-Room Podcast @gmail.com. And if you got that fire, please send us those tracks to the A-Room Podcast @gmail.com.
Or if you just want to say that
You sucked?
yeah, or you suck, or Kenny sucked,
I definitely suck. Pause.
then also at at thearoompodcast.com. But for next time, guys, we have this subject. It's very, again, controversial. It's looping samples or sampling loops. And we want to talk about using samples, using loops in our production. And, you know, again, a lot of labels go around about that stuff. A lot of judgment, like, is being passed. And oh, you're using samples. Are you using loops? What's up? You know?
Madli. We don't want to give it to them all on this podcast, man. We'll see you next time around. And don't forget to eat.
All I hear is gift, we need that beat, my nigga. We need the verse. We need some heat, my nigga, like it's the first. They know I got it, nigga had it since birth. If we ain't talking about the bag, we ain't talking about the work. No more freebies, no more IOUs, I go Stevie. Wonder how these niggas really see me, cause what I look like. Not charging y'all for punchlines and talking left, knowing damn well that hook right. Yeah, I got some raw shit, y'all know what my cook like? Serve your hors d'oeuvres, keep a tray by my hip. Second base, pass your bitch, slight delay with my pitch. Poetic with the words, she put her A on my tip. But back to the lecture at hand, I'm the shit. And ain't shit free, you busy rapping about whips, bricks, chips. My nigga Dip will pay the fee. The nerve of you niggas, I never heard